my Valentine's Day for trans women who are attracted to cisgender women. Don't. This is like take 300. I think with Gen Z, it'll be better. Like, I think maybe Gen Z has an easier time finding, if the girl who transitions is attracted to cisgender women, finding a cisgender girl or lesbian, bisexual girl. I don't know that that is necessarily true with like my generation. My generation is probably still contending with the stigma of generations before me, and the ones before me, man, they were freaks. Like they really were on the freaky side of things, you know. But there was also very much like a level of self-depreciation, or you know, kind of like oppression is like that, right? Oppression is, you know, will rot, you know, the person's soul, the person's, and stuff like that. It's very much true. It's very much like, you see me like this, I will be that 10 times larger and shove it in your face, right? And there seems to be less oppression generation by generation by generation. So if you are, the reason why I'm wearing this mask is because I had electrolysis done and my face is a bit chewed up. And the girl who did this for me is a girl who transitions, and she's married to a cisgender woman. And we're talking about what it's like, you know, being a trans girl attracted to cis girls. And she was saying she's happy she never had to go through that. If you're watching, thanks for the electrolysis, you're a lifesaver. Dysphoria makes you want to blow your brains out. And so, with my experience with cisgender girls, I've never, since I transitioned, I've never had a relationship. I've gone on dates, but I've never had a relationship with cisgender women. I've gone on more than one date, by the way. If somebody else is watching, this isn't about you, okay? Give it a break. You're crazy. And vengeful. For whatever God knows only reason, I don't know. But it just seems to go nowhere, right? I think women tend to conform as a form of survival than say cisgender men who are more prone to be more bold about what they want or where they want to go or what they want to do. They have less in their way. Cisgender women, you know, probably because just the dynamic between the sexes just tend to sort of like try to fly under the radar kind of thing. But in my experience with like cisgender women, even as friends, it's very trying. Another girl who's a friend of mine who's in a relationship with another girl, she was saying that like when you're trans and you always feel like you're walking on thin ice around cisgender people in cisgender society, cisgender culture and stuff like that. I don't know that they're two different things, right? But it's very true, right? You're always walking on eggshells. You always feel really, really uncomfortable. Like, I've had female friends, cis female friends, who like, once they find out that I've dated women in the past, or that I'm attracted to women, and am I don't know. Like, I completely understand like cisgender women who are bisexual and say, you know, like, I love women, I love the sex, You know, love the friendship, love everything. Don't think I could date one. That makes a lot of sense to me now. And by and large, I think a lot of the time they're not, like cisgender women, lesbians, bisexual girls, you know, are not interested in us because of stigma. You know, stigma like from, you know, we get all this stigma attached to us as being these, that's even twice as bad that if we were male. You know, it's like you're this like pervert, predator, freakazoid, whatever, right? You know, you're this pervert in the women's washroom because you love listening to women like urinate and defecate. I don't get that. You know, like in the women's washroom, I'm the one who's the most afraid, right? When I'm in the women's locker room, I'm the one who's the most afraid. You know, the other people around me who don't want me there, they're angry. They're not afraid, they're angry. I'm the one who's afraid, right? Another girl of mine, another friend of mine, my cis, hey girl, she said to me, like, you know, when you're a trans girl who's in relationships with cisgender women, you kind of like automatically fall back into the default of being male. There's some aspects of that, and you know, like we all have, regardless of what our physical gender is or our gender identity, we all have different levels of masculinity or femininity in us. You know, like I feel like when I'm playing guitar, it feels very masculine to me. Playing guitar doesn't feel feminine to me in any way, shape, or form. But I think partly because it was such a part of my identity for such a long period of time that feeling that way is kind of the default. But then too, like you see women out there who like female heavy metal shredders. You know, is it kind of masculine? Maybe, but it doesn't mean that they're not female, right? You know, just because some girl works on, you know, long haul trucks doesn't mean that she's more masculine or more female or something. It just means that she works on long haul trucks, right? But with us, you know, it's very difficult that way, and it's difficult. Another aspect to that too is that like whether it be dating trans women or like cis women, there may be some aspects where they're attracted to like primary sex characteristics or like want you to be in that role, you know. And there's issues with like dysphoria, like dysphoria around my face, dysphoria around my voice, dysphoria around my body, like my shoulders, everything, and my junk, my sheeness, right? Like I have a lot of dysphoria around that. I have not used that. I have, you know, to a small degree, but you know, when I did that, I cried, right? Like I bawled like it was the end of the world. And it's hard too because like a lot of guys who are supposedly attracted to us are trans amorous, you know, like that about us, you know, like our sheeness, you know, and or like women who are attracted to us a lot of the time, they like us because of our sheeness, right? I that's not a place I can go. That's not a place I've ever gone. You know, I've never used it on somebody. I've had somebody put their hand on it, you know, and stuff like that, but I've never like, I don't know, some of it just makes me cringe, you know, be it whomever I'm with, right? It just, like, I can't wait to get this thing fixed, right? Because I don't want to deal with it. I can't imagine detransitioning, and I can't imagine keeping this. But another piece of advice I would give too, if you're a trans girl who is attracted to women, you know, and you're doing something like running a YouTube channel like I am, don't talk about it. You know, I mean, talking about all aspects of your transition, just be that girl, just be that straight girl, I think. if it's not something you have to talk about, don't, right? Because that just brings hatred down upon you as well. And a lot of the time, like, one of my issues with, like, the idea of being in a relationship with a trans girl or a cis girl is how it would impact my identity, the stigma around how people would view me. I don't know that I should care about that, but it would be there. It would be part of how I feel about myself. And then when you're like us and in any relationships, right? Because of all the stigma, it creates all kinds of problems. You have all the stigma, you have all this dysphoria that often a lot of us contend with, and the ones that don't, all the power to you. But it's just like, dating when you're like me is so hard, like so hard. And so if you don't have to do it, like a lot of us, like all the trans girls I know, I am the only one who seems to be also attracted to men, right? Like and I question that a lot of the time. Like I put that under scrutiny a lot of the time. Like, am I? Because I deal with such bullshit from guys, like such bullshit. But that doesn't mean that I don't deal with it from women. For example, there's this one YouTuber. I'm not going to name her. I'm not trying to be malicious about it, but she's been making vlogs in relation to things that she's been stalking me about, and she seems to have an attraction to me, right? And I was not opposed to that at all. Like, I was like, oh, that's cool. Even one of my favorite YouTubers was another lesbian girl was part of that, and I was like, I was really, really like flattered and like kind of like shook. I was like, wow, this is seriously, like, you're interested in me, kind of thing. But the thing is, like, when this happens to you, right, when you meet a cisgendered lesbian or bisexual or something who takes an interest in you, they never seem to follow through, right? It's more of like you're just getting toyed with. Like this is just like part of, like, watch me like shit on this person and degrade them, publicly, as to make myself look even like more of a lesbian or something. I don't know, but my advice to girls who are trans girls who are attracted to cisgender women, it's like you're walking on thin ice. There's nothing you can do about changing that. Maybe it gets better with subsequent generations. Like, maybe it's better with Gen Z. But getting around the stigma of that's hard. And the stigma is very much part and parcel to generations, If you're a trans girl who's attracted to cisgender women and you're in a relationship already, try to maintain it. Try to make it work, because when you're not in that, when you're outside of that, a lot of the girls who transition a lot of the girls who are in relationships with cisgender women, often they they transition whilst in the relationship, right? When that relationship falls apart, then you're in my boat. So I can tell you what it's like, and it sucks. It completely sucks. And the thing that sucks the most about it too, though, is it like I think with lesbian relationships, is it like lesbian relationships or homosexual relationships in general, is it like there is friendship. Like one of the prime cornerstones to it is friendship. You hear that all the time from like gay or lesbian people, is that like a large part of their relationship is a cornerstone of it is the fact that they're each other's best friends. And we don't. And like as someone who was like in a relationship with women as a straight cisgender male, I don't know that the cornerstone of the relationship is friendship with straight people a lot of the time. I don't know that that's true. I think it was with a couple of my relationships, but on a whole, I don't know that that's true.